WWE's Hell in a Cell 2020 pay-per-view just went off the air, and I gotta say, if it wasn't for the 3 Hell in a Cell matches that took place, this pay-per-view would have been boring as fuck. So anyways, we're not gonna waste any time. I want to get straight into it. We kicked off the night with what was just pure amazement. Storytelling at its finest. Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns, and these two went at it. I mean, in my personal opinion, I think this match right here was the match of the night. Because, despite the fact it was an I Quit match, just the storytelling in this match was just amazing. Now, some have stated that this match was kind of, boring. Well, not boring, but like dragged on a little bit towards the end. And I will admit that I can see why. But at the same time, you've got to admit it. When it came to the storytelling, and I've said this in previous videos, that the number one thing in pro wrestling is that you have to tell a story. And those two men told the story. I mean, just crazy. Just crazy. Match was amazing. I loved it from start to finish. It was amazing. And having Reigns retain the Universal Championship was a good call. And yeah, that's all I could say about this match. After the match, Roman's family members, Afa and Zika, his uncle, his father was on the ramp, and they labeled him as the tribal chief, basically. They labeled Roman as the head of the table, and Roman held the Universal Championship up as Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso were in the ring. And by the way, Jey Uso said I quit because even after the shit Roman put him through, he said I quit because Roman put Jimmy Uso in the guillotine. And Jimmy was, coming in the cell trying to stop Roman and everything. And Roman just upset of what he's doing to his cousin, because Roman is saying that he didn't want to do this to his cousin. But like Roman said on Friday, these were the consequences. So match of the night right there, man. One of the best matches of the year, in my opinion. So we get to the second match, which was Jeff Hardy versus Elias. This match lasted for 7 minutes. Didn't really care for it. Elias did win, but by DQ. So my question coming from this match is Jeff Hardy a heel? Like, what's going on with Jeff Hardy? All I know is that Elias is dropping his album tomorrow night. So be on the lookout for that. But Elias wins, but by DQ. But the question is, because Jeff Hardy kind of looked heelish in that moment, because you would think that Elias would be the one to hit the guitar over Jeff, not Jeff. But, so, we'll see what happens, but Elias wins by DQ. The next match, Otis versus The Miz, and obviously the winner would have received the Money in the Bank briefcase, which was The Miz. Good call. I think having The Miz becoming Mr. Money in the Bank, crazy enough, 10 years, ago when he first won the Money in the Bank, I think this was also a good call. As far as the match goes, I didn't really care for it, but I did care for The Miz winning, because, like The Miz says, the Money in the Bank briefcase is supposed to be special, not a lunchbox. And basically, with Otis, he kind of made the Money in the Bank look like a joke, like a parody. So I love Otis. I still think Otis is one of the most over guys in the locker room right now, but he didn't need to become Money in the Bank. And I think this was a way of taking the briefcase obviously off Otis because WWE had, let's be real, they didn't really know what the fuck they were doing having Otis win the Money in the Bank, which serves us my thing. If you were gonna take the title off, the briefcase off him 8 months later, and let's be real, they didn't really do nothing with the Money in the Bank. Otis never really even, he only said it one or two times that I might be cashing in, but he didn't do it. So it was like, what was the point of putting the briefcase on Otis when he wasn't going to do shit with it? So yeah. But the big thing coming out this match was not only The Miz winning, but Tucker turned heel, which is actually understandable because, Tucker, if you look at Heavy Machinery, Otis was the money of the tag team, and Tucker was kind of cast as a nobody, an outsider. So Tucker's reasoning for turning heel actually makes sense if you actually think about it. But now apparently they're doing a feud with Otis and Tucker, which again makes sense. But at the same time, it's like Otis is on SmackDown, Tucker is on Raw. If they're gonna be feuding, then Otis should have went to Raw with Tucker, or Tucker should have stayed on SmackDown with Otis. Because if they're gonna end up brawling and Otis is gonna be coming to Raw and Tucker's gonna be coming to SmackDown, then really what was the whole point of the draft? Anyways, because I don't want to spend forever on this. We get to the next match, the next Hell in a Cell match. For the SmackDown Live Women's Championship, Bayley versus Sasha Banks. This was another amazing match. I loved it from start to finish. Even though Bayley in the match had a little problem with the duct tape and the kendo stick, but that's okay. She was sweaty as hell, so she couldn't really get it together, but it's okay. But anyways, Sasha Banks wins the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. She defeats Bayley. Obviously, Bayley's held the title 380 days. So there were people trying to say, oh well, Sasha should lose this match and then Sasha beats Bayley at WrestleMania. Okay, well, cool, but at the same time, what the hell's Bayley gonna do then from WrestleMania? From here to WrestleMania. And she's defeating almost everyone. Like, who else is she going to defend the title against? Might as well pull a Brock Lesnar. And then you got Sasha. If this was to happen, Sasha probably wouldn't be coming back until the Rumble. But anyways, moving on from that, because we don't have to worry about all that, because Sasha's champion. And hopefully this is a fresh new start. This won't be like with her with the Raw Women's Championship where she loses in her first title defense. So hopefully this is a brand new start. Hopefully. The very next match, impromptu match between, what's the guy's name? Slapjack, I believe it is, versus Bobby Lashley for the U.S. title. I didn't care for this match. I have this sinking feeling that, they're getting rid of this Retribution gimmick. And to be honest with you, I think they should, because this Retribution gimmick, I don't know, man. That was just a waste of a match. Because when they announced it, I was like, why is this match taking place? Just unnecessary, and I didn't care for it. Match, didn't care for it. Next match, the main event, Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. This was a great match. This was a really great match. They brought it, at the beginning of the match, but in the end, they went at it. Drew goes through the table, and he's suffering internal injuries, and Orton beats Drew for the WWE title. So Randy Orton ties Triple H with the 14th reign, and Randy Orton's just 2 reigns away of tying with Ric Flair and Cena. And who knows, maybe they can have a match. Him and Cena can have a match to see who breaks Ric Flair's record. That would be pretty cool to see. But anyways, man, Randy Orton winning, right call. Um, love Drew to death, but Drew, he had a good run. Okay, we can't just sit up here because usually with title reigns, people will be tired and be like, "Oh, this title reign sucked." But we have to admit, and you've got to admit that since WrestleMania, even before WrestleMania, the WWE did a great job booking Drew as the big challenger up to Brock Lesnar, and they have booked his title reign amazingly. Drew put on great match after great match after great match, and in the end, Drew didn't look, Drew didn't look weak in this. He didn't look defeated in this because with Kofi had a good reign, but the way it ended sucked because he got beat in 8 seconds. Well, yeah, I believe it was 8 seconds, 7, 8 seconds, whatever. So yeah, man. So Hell in a Cell, like I said, man, these 3 Hell in a Cell matches carried the show. I could not care less about the other matches except the Miz winning, but like I said, man, Hell in a Cell with these 3 Hell in a Cell matches, decent pay-per-view. I wouldn't say it's the best pay-per-view of the year, but it was a decent pay-per-view. But you have to admit, all 3 Hell in a Cell matches did amazingly. Now, the final thing I want to talk about tonight, so they talked about Survivor Series, which is the next pay-per-view. So, obviously, the big thing around Survivor Series is the 30-year anniversary of The Undertaker, which makes sense. So my thing is, because I don't want The Undertaker wrestling at Survivor Series, I don't think The Undertaker should wrestle at Survivor Series because after that amazing Boneyard match, it just shouldn't happen. What I think is going to happen, The Undertaker's just going to make an appearance and the wrestlers are just going to give him like a little tribute, thank you, Taker, all that stuff. But the big question I want to know is NXT going to be involved? I wonder if NXT is going to be involved because NXT wasn't involved in the draft. Their world champion is injured. So my thing and my take on that, I don't think NXT is going to be a part of Survivor Series, which kind of sucks because having NXT being a part of Survivor Series was amazing and it helped them score big over AEW, actually. Remember, if you go back last year, that time when the Raw and Superstars came to NXT won, and they beat AEW that week. So, but yeah. So anyways, guys, that's my Hell in a Cell review. And, yeah.